Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. We have a quorum present, so we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Whipple, did you figure this thing out?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we will open forum public input. I don't believe we have any here. We'll move on to approve agenda. Changes to the agenda. We had one from the public.
I think what we'll do there is just eliminate under item 15, approved consent agenda. We'll just eliminate letter N, that second one, establishing meeting dates and times would be more appropriate because
Okay.
B establishes your meeting dates, your time per diem, and your mileage.
It wasn't F added up here, I thought I read, from the published.
Perhaps, yes, it was added. Because
Okay.
that one did not make the paper, because that came in just a week ago.
Right,
So,
okay.
yeah. So you'd have to add letter F under item 7, and then eliminate letter N under item 15. So,
And that'll be on the next meeting.
yeah, that's actually in the second half.
Okay.
So the resignation will happen under your initial part of your July meeting here, so.
Okay, I will accept the motion to approve the changes to the agenda.
A second.
Okay, so now, this is, give us a little bit of a chance here. Jason is not Craig. Okay, so I've warned him about this process, that you guys do things a little bit differently. So him taking your motion, and then a second, and then writing it or just transcribing it, and then reading it back to you, and then calling the vote. Typically, in any other school board, I would say 98% of the school boards, that's the board president's job, not the business manager's job. So, this is our first rodeo here, his first rodeo.
I can
So
sure do that
the-
if you'd like. I can do it, that's
Sure.
fine, that's fine.
Yeah, so what it's, well, however you guys want to do that, Matt, I mean, now and then even moving forward, but, I mean, they've warned Jason about it, and he's not incapable of
Okay.
doing that repetitive stuff that Craig did for you guys as well, so either way, so you have a motion and a second to approve your
Motion
agenda,
by Cole,
Matt.
second by Turner to approve the agenda. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. 6, declare a conflict of interest. I don't believe we have any.
We do not for this one, and then you'll see that come up again, only just, I put that in here, I'll talk about it here in a minute, so, but for now, you do not have one in this part of the meeting, so.
Okay. Move on to 7, approve consent agenda, approve June minutes, approve claims, approve June financial report, approve work agreements for paraprofessionals, declare item surplus, and the added item F, approve resignation.
So, just some comments here. The work agreements, I did not get established. I could not set up interviews for the paraprofessionals until Thursday. So technically, there are no work agreements to approve at this stage of the game. So that part of it can just be tabled. The other part is typically we do your financial reports and the action items. So way back, or way down on our our agenda, we did not, it's not typically included in there from month to month. And I've just used the same template, guys. So your June financial report, Jason just handed it out. So that's your goldenrod sheet that you're typically looking at. Even though it's under consent, it's maybe something that you want to take 2 minutes right now and look at some of those ending balances in each of your funds, only from the standpoint that when we do the budget hearing here in a couple of minutes, that you may ask yourself, well, what is our fund balance in there? So you can see your fund balances for general, your capital, your sped, your school lunch, enterprise. And those are the main ones, and then you got your trust and agency there and scholarship. So I don't know if there's any questions per se about where your ending balances are at that stage of the game. So I'll give you a chance to look that over, even though it's under consent. If you look at prior year's data, then you can kind of see where things traditionally ebbs and flows, I guess. So.
Any comments on how you think it looks, in your opinion?
No, not really.
Okay.
We got money in the school lunch, so that's good.
And we've had some discussions about that.
And our special education fund has been a little low in previous months, but I see it's come back up here
Yeah.
quite nice, so.
Yeah. I would probably got some more receipted in, the tax statements in there, so, I mean, you'll see that, and then when we do the special ed part of the budget, I mean, you're gonna see a number there, though, we're probably still looking at, expenditures probably, outsourcing our revenue at that stage of the game. But it's not horrible, but, you do have a fund balance in there, so.
Backing up a step, you mentioned about those agreements or contracts. Is there something different that you wanted to do with the classified in the past?
Just no, so those are those paraprofessionals. We're short right now. We're short 3 people in our sped department. And the one resignation that we just got, I got a week ago, that's actually a Title I para. So, trying to find anybody, let alone 3 bodies. I do have a couple interviews set up for Thursday, so I just haven't been through that process. And coordinating with those people who are wanting to be candidates and having a conversation with them and getting Adam in here too to do that. So there's no proposal there to do anything different at this stage of the game. I will preface the Title I component of that. So if Title II does not get released by the feds, there's a probably $32,000 chunk of change that we're not going to get. And in that particular case, even though that's the case where we won't have the money, we still have enough Title I funds available that we will make do with the number of people that we have, because we have to expend a certain amount in our title program. And it's not like you can just eliminate that particular dollar amount out of it. I mean, we're gonna have to expend it regardless, so we'll move somebody else into that slot to use that title money. But then again, it maybe opens up maybe another need for somebody moving from the sped department to the title department, so. And I do not have any, I've asked Department of Ed, Rob Huffman, Cody Stilser, Dr. Graves, and they're literally in the dark. There isn't one state Department of Education that has any insight as to what the United States Department of Education is going to do with Title II. None. But my gut tells me from I don't even know where I heard it, if I read it, something that doesn't perhaps sound favorable. So he's just, I don't know how he can just make a magic pen and stroke it and kill it, because it's been obligated. I mean, it's part of admin rule and federal law that you have to expend that dollars. But he thinks to think that he can just, no, we're not going to spend it. I don't know. That's all I know.
Gotcha.
I was just gonna chime in once here too. I had an additional bill to consider too before a motion. The EMC insurance, property and liability insurance,
Oh, yeah.
came
Okay.
in last
Yep.
minute.
That's part of your claims in number 7 here, so if you just wanted to look at it, so. And we know about that because we had Mike in here present it to us, so we finally got the invoice for that, so. When we did the bills, we didn't quite have that at that point in time, so.
Okay, any other questions to the consent agenda? Do I need to remove that word agreement, or just because there's nothing there, it's just, we can approve the whole thing.
Yeah, you can, I think you're fine. I would just say approve it with item D being tabled.
Okay, I'll accept a motion to approve the consent agenda with item D being tabled.
So move.
Moved by Schoenfelder, second by Turner. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. We will move on to
Item
item
B, adjourned.
8, which is adjournment. I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
So move.
I'll second.
Moved by Schoenfelder, second by Prohl. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. You got all those names, right? Okay.
Motion carried.
Motion carries, sorry. New to this. All right, we will, I guess I'm done then, right?
Yeah, for now, until we go through the process. So Jason, I've talked to him about that, and he'll take over there to go through this process and get 9, 10, and basically 11, 12 done here, so. And that's kind of all in one fell swoop, so it's just how it's written, so. So Andrew, Mr. Rowe, do you want to sit there, or do you want to sit down there? You sit wherever you want to sit. It's kind of like church though, so you're in somebody's pew. You might catch some heat, so. Okay, Jason, that number 9's up to you. You just call that to order.
All right.
And so,
We'll call the 25-26 meeting to order.
number 10 then
Number 10?
is your, yep.
Oath of office.
Andrew's got to take the oath of office. So typically what that happens, Andrew, you stand up, he'll read you that oath, basically, and I don't know how, you can read it, you can repeat it, I don't care how you do it. I mean, there's no formal way, I don't think, as to how that happens, so.
Okay.
We don't have them very often, so.
Just want to repeat after me.
Sure.
I, Andrew Roth,
I, Andrew Roth,
of the Parkston School District number 33-3,
of the Parkston School District 33-3,
having been elected
having been elected
as a Board of Education member
as a Board of Education member
of the above-named school district
of the above-named school district
in the above-named county, South Dakota,
of the above-named county, South Dakota,
do solemnly swear that I will support
I do solemnly swear I will support
the laws and Constitution of the United States
the laws and Constitution of the United States
and the state of South Dakota,
and the state of South Dakota,
and to faithfully perform the duties
and to faithfully perform the duties
of school board membership
of school board membership,
and by filing a bond,
and by filing a bond,
if required by law,
if required by law,
and having it approved.
and having it approved.
Subscribed and sworn to me
Subscribed and sworn to me
this 14th day of July, 2025.
this 14th day of July, 2025.
Does he, I think he has to sign that, doesn't he, Jason?
Yes.
And hand over your $10,000 bond check?
Yeah, right.
Take card?
And if you've heard me say this before, so now the only way you get off of this is either you pass away or you find your own replacement, so you're locked in, so. Tongue in cheek.
About as bad as regard.
It is, for sure, so. Okay, so then you got item 11 there.
All right. We have 5 members present, so I established we do have a quorum. And we are ready to conduct business. First item would be to elect the board president. Do you have any nominations for the position of board president?
I nominate Matt Leishner.
I'll second.
I'll motion to end nominations or close nominations.
We could really make this easy. Your motion could be to nominate Mr. Matt Leichner with a unanimous ballot cast. That way it's done, it's over with, nobody else gets to turn around and nominate anybody else, if that's what you want to do. So if you want to hang him out to dry, that's typically a way you do that. Is with you cast a unanimous ballot with your motion. So I'm just suggesting if that's what you want to do, if there's no heartache on anybody's part. So Good, you wanna do that?
Yeah.
So Jason, do you have that, then Cassie, unanimous ballot? So you got a first and a second there?
Yep.
Okay, so first is who?
Turner?
Okay, Scott, and then who seconded?
I second it.
John did?
Yeah.
Okay. So then you call that question, Jason, all those.
Okay. There's been a motion by Turner, second by Prohl, to nominate Matt Leichner as board president. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
So that goes right into your vice president as well. It's, while it's part of number 12, you'd want to do the same process for vice president in the event that Matt is not present, so.
Do I have any nominations for the position of vice president?
I nominate Mr. Turner.
I'll second.
Same thing, cast unanimous ballot. There you go. All right, so you got it. Jason, so repeat it.
Sorry, I'm a little slower handwriting. There's been a motion by Prohl, second by Leichner, to nominate Turner for vice president. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
There you go. So I think you can turn that back over to Matt now.
Okay. We'll move on to item 13. Conflict of interest disclosures and waivers, and we have some new items, I believe.
So I put that in your packet, so it's,
Too far.
so all this we're following that blue stuff?
Yeah.
So we're going, that's your template, narrative template, so that we're following there, so I'm gonna put it 13, so you have, you can go along and read with that too, so that's kind of what we're at, look at number 13. I just put that interest disclosure and those waiver requests in there. I included those two examples in your packet. I mean, it's a little bit further back, don't ask me where it's at in there. I believe I did, perhaps, not right there, John's got it. So, yep, you have your policy
Kind of the front end
there,
of the package.
yep, and you have an actual disclosure statement. So we have not had a disclosure statement since I filled one out, Craig filled one out, and Matt filled one out probably 3 years ago when we started driving bus for BJ at the time. So the threshold in the policy, I believe you go back to that, it says $5,000 if I remember right. So if there isn't a pecuniary interest by anybody in your family or a business you own or anything else where you're going to accrue more than $5,000, the necessity to disclose that really isn't there. I'll give Andrew, and I talked about this. Andrew's wife, Nicole, is our assistant FFA director. So she gets a stipend from the school district because of that position and extra duty salary schedule, but it doesn't equate to $5,000. So when we get to that point, negotiations back, coming spring, when we're voting on packages and voting on pay raises and stuff like that, potentially, I mean, if it was more than that, it's something where he would probably have to excuse himself from the vote because there's gonna be an interest acceptance in there or realized. So, but I just wanted to draw your attention to that conflict of interest. So if you ever come across the concept where somebody comes across you, there's a business has a direct relation to the school district in some way, shape, or form, and you're gonna benefit, to the tune above and beyond $5,000, is something that, how we do that, you just bring it to my attention, because we'll fill out the form, we would submit it at the next board meeting like we do every year, or do every month, is there a conflict of interest? And then we just disclose that, so. And if there isn't that stuff, just like we probably done for the last 3 years, we don't have one, per se. I still drive bus, Matt, I think still drives bus once in a while, but we never get to that point of that threshold. Craig, when he initially did his, he did, because he drove her out, so he was well over the $5,000. So when we were talking about giving BJ raises, it had an impact on him, because it's not just for board members, it's also for your business officers and your admin. as well too. So I just wanted to take the time to clarify that, and that's why I put that information in there to give you some insight as to what it is. And you got the
Question, on there it says the 5,000 is just for direct interest, and then you get down here, does that 5,000 not apply, and it's just any interest?
No, it's still the threshold of
Okay.
that, yeah. Yep. Good question. So, everybody good?
Okay, any other questions on that?
Okay.
Okay. We'll move on then to item 14, the budget hearing, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Michael. Michael, sorry.
No worries, no worries. We do have a presentation there. Craig used to do that spreadsheet, kind of charts, pie graphs, things like that, and Jason worked on that. He does have that opportunity for you to take a look at. And then I believe we put this, that was sent as an ancillary support. It wasn't in the original board packet, but then I pushed that out too. So between the two of them, we should be able to get things, covered, so, yeah.
Alright, so this just first slide outlines total budget in each fund, and then total budget at the end, just north of 8.5 million. Comparing expenditures and revenue, you can see the first four funds do have a deficit of revenue compared to expenditures. The enterprise fund, we are looking at a little bit of a surplus there.
Questions on that part? Comments? It's not the first time we've seen that, where you're projecting a budget that's got expenditures above and beyond what you have slotted for revenue. Last time we had 400,000, was a couple years ago. We were north of 400. And we never did realize that. And that's the comment I would like to make. Even though you're projecting that, you're seeing it on paper, oftentimes we never realize that deficit. It's just because some of those things we shoot a little high as far as the projection, and then the actual expenditure, even comes in lower in some of those particular areas. But your general fund does have, within the revenue side of it, is the $275,000 transfer from capital outlay. So that robbing to Peter to pay Paul. So that is reflective in that 5.1 million revenue. Now, last 2 years, we did not use, I'm pretty sure, we did not use all 275. And 2 years ago, we didn't use any of it.
Right.
So there's always that flexibility that we have built in there to make sure that our revenue is there. Now, the other thing that could offset that general fund, we built that budget on 525.
I was gonna ask.
Yep, so right now, our ADM, I believe we're already pushing north of that. So we have a few more kids that are showing up on our radar. So I'm hoping that perhaps 535. So there's 10 kids and you're talking somewhere between 65 and 72 per kid. So, that'll be a decent chunk of money that would go to help offset that projected deficit. So, capital outlay, same thing. I wouldn't get too concerned about what is in there. I can promise you, Jason, I talked about it today, is that our certificate payment, and then the rest of doing business in our capital outlay, the levy that we are going to ask and submit to the Hutchinson County for, and that gets dispersed to wherever else counties we own the land. But we're going to hold that to a levy that equals or generates or accrues 1.3 million. So that's what we're looking at. That's what we've done the last 2 years too. So we've stayed within that 1.3 million. So we're not going to raise the capital outlay levy at this point in time, even though we're projecting that deficit. Again, if you look at your ending fund balance here in your capital outlay, there's really no need to do that and move that levy at this stage of the game, because you're sitting at 1.6 million in that fund. So if you end up realizing that amount being short, then you have plenty of cushion to do that. So, and that's what I would propose too. There's no sense in asking the taxpayers for more money when you've got funds sitting there. So, and SPED, that is what it is. I can't tell you from one year to the next when kids show up and what programming's involved in that, so, and the fact that that's a small number if we end up doing that, and plus you got dollars there too, so. And like Jason said, and we guys all know, when we get to this later on, how do we decrease that fund balance in food service? Because there are limitations to what you can have in there, so. And we'll see when we propose later on in the meeting what we're proposing to do that, so. An enterprise, that's your preschool and your driver's ed, things like that. So, but I will point this out, we did lose Head Start funding this year. So, they got their budgets cut. And we always held 6 slots in our preschool program for Head Start kids that they went through the process and identified, and they paid us $600 a month for those 9 months of school. So there was $5,400 that we got. Well, we're not gonna realize that. So you'll also see that when we get to the end of that board agenda, the recommendation as far as what our preschool prices are gonna be to recoup that $5,400, you know, that we're no longer gonna be receiving. So a little bit of an uptick in increase, but we haven't increased pre-K since, I don't think we've done this, maybe one time in my time here. So, questions? Nope. Okay. Sorry, Jason.
No, you're good.
Okay.
Just a simple chart outlining where each of the funds comes into play as far as percentage-wise, general fund being about 2/3 of that money, of that total budget. A little bit of a trend to look at as far as budget goes. It's a slight, keeping about the same uptick in general fund as what we've seen prior. Sped and enterprise funds kind of staying the same. So on the far left would be this year's expected total levies from all funds. So again, a little bit of a decrease as far as the levy per thousand is concerned.
Now, my comment on that is, recall, those levies in those 5 areas are typically 4 of the 5, are set by the state legislature. And the levies, I can show you on paper, and Andrew and I had this conversation the other day when him and I sat down. The levies are going down, that the state sets. And you guys are all sitting here, oh crap, because I pay more. You're right, you do, but your assessed valuations continue to rise. And that's the huge sticking point right now with the 105 in Pierre. As to what are we gonna do, property taxes, those kinds of owner-occupied, commercial. Your guys that are farmers, industries, you guys, your assessed valuations are based on that 10-year Olympic average. High year, low year, throw those 2 out, average your 8. And then that tells you production-wise how much you've been producing. So therefore, that also sets your guys' assessed valuations on any whatever, quarter, 2-quarter section, whatever you're owning, you know, type of deal. So, but the overall from the state of South Dakota, the levies, I can show you 10 years worth that they continue to go down. That's applied to your general fund, to the special ed fund. Capital outlay, that's about the one where you have an opportunity to change if you want, because you can ask for that, you know, amount. And we are not maxed. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, you and I talked about that. We do not max in capital outlay. You don't ask for what you can ask for, nor would we decide on
We
special
will be there
ed.
and sped, yeah.
We do or we don't?
We will be, yeah.
We will be asking for the maximum in our spend, so in order to make ends meet there. So, questions on that? Okay.
So here's just our tax request compared to last year. So again, the levies went down just a tiny bit, even though valuations went out, so we kind of shake out about the same as where we were general fund wise. So capital outlay levy planning to stay the same, and then the uptick in sped puts us right at that maximum levy there.
Right.
Again, 5-year comparison, farthest on the left is the newest year. So So, as you can see, holding pretty steady general fund wise, capital outlay third year in a row, as he said, of the 1.3 million.
We had that's where we got money too. That was your certificates. We sold 7.1 million of certificates in there too. That's why you see the disparity there, so.
And just a little bit more of a breakdown, general fund wise, of kind of where our money is getting spent. Salaries and benefits, as you can see from the chart, salaries and benefits making up about 81%, as they typically do, out of that general fund budget. And then just cost comparison wise, where we've been, salaries slightly on the uptick, benefits kind of staying the same, all other areas kind of staying pretty close to the same.
And you'll see that first category continue to climb, depending on what the state decides, in March, as to what they're gonna put into that target. And it's the average teacher compensation. Whether you can realize that number or not, whether you have students to, or even local funds between local and state aid to realize that number, it does not matter. You have to meet the teacher compensation target. You don't have to, but then you're gonna be penalized in your state aid if we get to that point. So, and then there's only 3 ways to bring that into compliance. You ask more in your Peter to pay claw and your flexibility capital outlay to general fund, or you opt out of the general fund, or you cut people, programs, and staff. So, are we there? No, we're not there. But sometimes it may be concerning that you see that continued uptick in salaries. Well, that's being forced upon us by 2 years ago now, by the state legislature making that law. So.
Just one last piece, fund balance wise, just comparing, Craig had indicated he tries to keep that around 1.3 to 1.5 million at the end of each year, so we're pretty steady there.
Yeah, and you're 1.4 right now, so, yeah, I mean, pretty consistent. There's nothing there in what is projected for your 25-26 school year that's like, would cause somebody for like, oh my God, what happened here? Scratch your head or things like that, so, but yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, I think.
Questions, thoughts, ideas? Based on your budget. So that's your budget hearing. Which you're technically by law you're supposed to hold.
We're not approving that or nothing yet, correct? That's,
You can make that decision if you want, but technically by law, I think you have to make that motion in August.
August.
But you can put it to get it done. So if you want to let it marinate, you can let it marinate if you want, but it makes no difference. Because it's not going to change.
yeah,
Because what you publish is done deal.
do it August unless anybody else. Yep. All right, we'll move on then. Item 15, approve consent agenda. We will consider the consent agenda, and I'm going to say just as printed in the, in the what?
You could say board template.
In the board template, or was that published online or no?
It is there, yes.
So
It is.
it's quite in depth, so we'll just go that route. Is there any questions on the consent agenda?
I had a couple
Yep,
questions.
go ahead, John.
On Q,
Yep, we did that. Matt brought it.
Oh.
You talking about the date?
no.
Oh,
no, I'm
because the
talking-
date says 24/25.
Yeah.
I didn't get the date changed.
Okay. This was an audit quote.
Yep,
Shane, do you know if that's higher than even last year?
yes.
Do you know? how
Just
much?
because the cost of doing business, so this is for 23-24 school year.
Right.
And the reason why it's still a little bit higher is because there's gonna be a component. The federal audit requirement is if you receive more than $750,000 in federal dollars, then there's an extra line item, an extra component to the audit that they have to do. So when talk to Randy says, well, I think 23-24, you're still gonna exceed that $750,000. So therefore, that's why you see that 13.5. And it was 11.5 a year ago.
That's what I thought, 10 or 11.
Yeah, it was 11.5 a year ago. So yes, it's a $2,000 increase. And part of it, again, only because he's got to do the federal component of it, so. And if we don't, then perhaps what we're gonna get invoiced would be less than that, so.
And I had a question on art.
Yep.
I know we have 2 locations that we're picking up kids.
Yep,
So do you know how many kids we're picking up yet, roughly?
good question. In fact, I just entertained that phone call from the neighbor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I looked at it, and what is coming out of that particular district to our south, and I did it, I want to say it was 21 kids.
Wow. So there is a need.
Yeah, you can't cut your nose off to spite your face there. As much as I'd like to do that, that would be not be an intelligent move on our part.
Did you say 31? 21.
Would not be an intelligent move on our part.
Well, I've talked to some constituents in Tripp,
Yeah.
and they went out of that school district.
Yeah.
And so I was just curious.
You know, we've talked about, when we talk about busing and transportation issues, and we're pushing a transportation line item, you know, north of 360, 370,000. Because we,
Right.
you know, what should we do here?
Right.
You know, type of deal. But discontinuing that portion of the route is gonna lessen our miles. But, again, you can't cut your nose off to spite your face, because how many would go back? You know, you can never know the answer to that, you know, but if you know what you got coming through the door because you're providing that opportunity, that's probably not a cost-saving measure that one would.
So they can just ask for it and we'll supply the transportation?
It's just the 2 pickup points, that's all we'll ever do. So they gotta get them there.
Is Delmont getting much more or less as far as?
Well, between the 2, that's total.
I'm sorry, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, between the 2, right, not a piece, but between the 2, that is combined effort.
Got it.
How many in that one and how many in that one, that I don't know. Yeah. I never went that far with it. But the totality of people, or kids, I should say, riding that bus is pretty close. I think it's 20 or 21 kids.
Okay.
So, and the crappy part of it sometimes is sometimes they don't ride for this, that, or the other. I mean, you got various reasons. Maybe they come to school, or some of the kids are getting a little bit older, but if we had to pick them up, there was no other alternative for them to get to school, the totality of that number would be pretty close. So yeah, I've looked at that. I mean, I've had conversations with foremen about eliminating that. But then when I start doing the head count, I'm like, oh, maybe, maybe not.
It might be something like somebody sees, their kids are young enough, there's a bus route, they will open and roll the parks then too.
Yeah.
Take that away, then they might say, I'm not even gonna bother.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very
So
true.
it might take away some potential teachers.
Yeah, very true, Andrew. So, but, I mean, that would be the first place that I would to look as far as trying to, you know, reduce some costs in our transportation budget. But then, you don't offer it, then you got perhaps reducing your revenue too, because your ADM's going down as well. So, good questions.
And everybody's good with the 6:30 meeting time still?
Yep.
Good. Anything else on the consent agenda to consider? If not, I will accept the motion to approve.
So move.
Second. Moved by Schoenfelder, second by Kroll, to approve the consent agenda. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, we'll move on to 16. Information staff reports, high school principal report. Are you going to elementary?
Well, this time of year is not a whole lot to report. We'll give you kind of an update just on, you know, with all the national conventions that are going on with all the clubs and stuff like that. FCCLA just got back a few days ago. It went really well. We had a couple individuals that they do these tests over different categories. We had 2 of our individuals place Rico Mullenberg got first in the nation in housing and interior design, and Kennedy Knipling got second in the teaching category on these challenge tests they do. So pretty cool. We had a couple of top finishers. I think we also had 4 of our groups that qualified as a group that placed top 10. Not all of them knew exactly what placed in the top 10, but I know we had a couple third places and an 8th and a 9th for sure, I know. So did really well. Sounds like they had a blast, so that was a really cool one. Ed Rising was the week before that. Similar thing as well. I think we had 1 placer there as well. I couldn't quite get the names and info in time for this, but sounds like everybody had great trips, really enjoyed it. HOSA, I think that was probably 3 or 4 weeks ago now. They had a lot of people make it to the second and third round, like the kind of qualifying stuff, very, very competitive. So I know Mrs. Bartel said that went really well too. So good stuff. Hopefully one of these days they can kind of come and give you their own feedback on what it was. But I know we'd had them come in during the spring and talk about it, so it's kind of fun to see the other end of it as well. Other than that, we've had, I think we've got quite a few new faces that'll be coming in grades 6 through 12. I think I've gotten contact info on something like 6, 7, or 8, possibly new kiddos that'll be here. Some of them are returners and some are brand new. So excited to meet the new faces. Everything looks good on our end. It looks like everything's kind of getting fixed up and ready to roll. So, I mean, before we know it, a month from now, it's going to be time to go. This is the fastest summer, I think, feeling-wise I've ever had, so ready. Do you have any questions for me?
Your schedule's good then? You got your, pretty much squared away then for start of school, kids are in your computer, you got your Orange Day, Blue Day ready to roll?
Yeah, you know, so before I left in June, the high school's all in. So every single high school kid has a full-on schedule. We don't usually do our home till right before just because there's a lot of in and out. The last piece for me is I'm still working on breaking the middle school rosters up. You know, like, they don't have a choice, they know what they are, so it's just me kind of breaking the rosters. That's the last piece. I'm kind of hoping to finish it up this week, and then we'll be completely ready to go. But the only thing I don't have is, I usually do the SRB rosters last just because those are, everybody knows they're in SRB, it's just kind of divvying them out and stuff like that. But no, in terms of my 3 years, this is by far the most comfortable I feel in July, so hopefully I'm not too comfortable and I forget something, but I think we're in good shape. So,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
All right, we'll move on to the elementary principal and AD report.
Mr. Fisher has got baseball tonight, he's coaching, so we'll get their state 10 and under youth baseball tournament coming up this weekend. So the only thing there to draw your attention to is that we'll have starting Wednesday, I think, maybe even tomorrow and Wednesday, or Wednesday and Thursday. Don't recall, doesn't matter, it's just this week. We have the bills that you approved, so 95 statement for 95 and then collaborative classroom. So we're having staff training for our elementary teachers, and that is our new ELA curriculum and our new phonics program. So we actually have outside vendors coming in to present to our staff, and all of our staff have graciously agreed, which I cannot commend them enough for, because we don't have the professional development money and resources to pay them for their time when they come in during the school or off the school year. So they've all graciously agreed to come in and spend the time and what they need to do to learn, do the writing curriculum, the reading curriculum. So that's going to be, and Ethan is sending a group of teachers down as well. So it'll be a pretty good chunk of people that are here going through training for the next couple days with that. So he just wanted to make sure that you guys were informed about what that opportunity is, and it's supporting our new ELA curriculum. So that's it for him.
Okay, item C, superintendent report.
And the only thing I got, and I put this, and I know I killed trees this month, I know it was his favorite, so, but I put all of your associate school board, school administrators, information in your packet. You can read through that. Now, what my question is, because I need to get registrations done by Friday the 18th, and there is a new board president workshop on that Wednesday, and there is a new board member workshop on that Wednesday before this starts on Thursday, because this is typically Thursday and Friday at noon, it's done. So that Wednesday thing is more of 2 to 4 thing, 3 to 5 thing. If that's something that you guys want to participate in, I'll go in and register you guys through the Associated School Boards portal that we got. So, and if anybody else wants to go to this conference, right now, it's $205. And it jumps up to $250 plus if we wait anytime after Friday, the 18th. So if you want to go, let me know. I'm registered to go. So, if you want to think about it, let me know. If you haven't thought about it, let me know. I mean, does anybody plan to go, want to go? I mean, so I can do that.
I think I can go to that.
You're gonna go to New
Wednesday
Ward?
portion for
Yeah,
sure.
Wednesday for sure. Do you want me to do for the whole thing perhaps, or is
Let me
that
double
good
check
enough?
on that, but.
Okay, so make sure the board president, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
I'll
can
get
go
you,
to the new board member,
new board
but
member.
only that.
Yeah.
Found out I could do that yesterday. So.
Did you get shot down and?
No,
What your
graciously
proposal was?
said yes right away. And
Oh, really?
Fight for it, so. But just that, so.
Okay, yeah, I could do that. And I'll get you guys registered for that. So when you show up onto that, I'll get some more information that, they'll say, what's your name? And you'll just tell them all of your stuff ready to go. So, perfect. That's all I needed on my report. So that's all I have for you.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to discussion items then. Discussion item A, review policy manual. The following ASBSD policies are being presented for review at first reading. GCBDC, GCBDD, GCBDE, GCBDE-R1, and GCBDF.
That R1 usually stands for an artifact, that's really what that means. But, so the first one is jury duty, and that aligns with what is in our negotiated agreement, as well as military leave. We don't have this big of a policy in our negotiated agreement, but the part that does count and coincides with our negotiated agreement, I did cut and paste in here. So it's reflective of the military leave and what we do and what's negotiated. Then you have family and medical leave in there, and that also reflects what we have in negotiated agreement, as well as that the artifact one that stipulates. So, and a lot of that stuff honestly is set by FMLA law. I mean, you really can't deviate from that because the federal government says this is what you're going to do. So that's that particular, and then the last one. People say, really, that's a policy? Well, it is. And we abide by that, so it's GCBDF is nursing mothers. And we, again, back to the Fair Labor Standards Act, FMLA, we have to make sure that we're, providing those opportunities for those expected mothers that are on staff. And we do, we'll have another staff member this year that's going to go on maternity leave. So those are your first reading of those particular policies. And
On the
question.
jury duty, why do we take away half of their per diem that they get from the court for going?
Because, I'm trying to think of the rationale of that. And that's not us, that's also in your Associated School Boards manual. I think that's something that probably just aligns with what your Associated School Boards manual is. But I'm trying to think of the reason and rationale why you would end up taking some dollars back from them.
Most employers do it too.
Yeah.
I know Mitchell Tech, like, you get to choose, the per diem is mine, because I've been on jury duty
Yeah.
there. The per diem is 100% mine. Now and when I say per diem, I'm just talking the mileage paid,
Yep.
so we're on
Yep.
the same page. The actual wage that you get there, I get to choose that wage or my daily rate.
Right.
Well, obviously, I'm gonna take my daily rate at Mitchell Tech
Yeah.
over that.
And I think part of it is because there is the exclusion that you don't have to take a day, as far as your leave part of it, so, but you don't get the double dip. I mean, so if you wanted to take that, we're gonna pay, your leave pay too, but then you're gonna turn around and pocket this money too. So you're coming out money ahead on the deal for taking jury duty. So, right, wrong, or different, I don't know. That's typically, again, established by your associate school board, so this policy is in the parent manual as well. So it's not something we dreamt up.
Right, I realize it's not us, I just didn't know, like, those schools.
It's a good question.
Why you would take
It's
away.
probably a poor answer on my part, but I mean, I think it's pretty accurate, so. Anything else on your policies, their first reading? I'll look further into that, so I can have a better answer for you, next month, so.
So I got a couple other questions on the
Yep.
Sarah one, that kind of hits close to home for me.
Yeah.
Why do they limit 3 days of sick leave to be used for training?
So that came, you guys perhaps maybe can help with that. There was a little bit of angst before my time here. And the compromise was the PEA asking for extended time on the military leave. And the compromise was to come up with giving them allowable using 3 sick days, because technically it's not a sick day. It should technically come out of your personal leave by the way our policies and are written from your personal leave as well as sick leave. So the compromise was so they didn't get penalized and have to lose their personal leave for ordered military service, you know, type of deal. Whether that was on the weekends, a typical drill weekend, or something that arises during the course of a school year where that particular employee is ordered to go on a temporary duty deployment type of deal. So it wasn't wiping them out, so to speak, of personal leave, which they really had no control over. So the compromise was to give them, allow them to use part of the sick leave and apply it to that. for
Why
the
not
military
let them
service.
just choose if they want to use all of it or none of it, or instead of limiting them to 3 days? I mean,
Because-
because if you've been here for a while, you could have a lot of sick days built up, and, you know, if you have to be gone for this, that was your, you know, forced
Because you're,
absence.
yeah, because you're creating opportunities within the footprint as far as the rest of the staff goes. It's inequitable, and you could say, well, they serve. Yeah, you're right, they serve. But trust me, you'll never get that through the PEA. It won't happen. Poor answer again, but that's the rationale behind it. So I don't know if anybody else can remember that conversation. I mean, no, Matt, John.
No.
Yeah. So that came up, that military leave and extending the 3 days sick leave, that just came, I think it was my first year here. And before that, it was nothing. So that was part of the compromise, because the one particular individual was asking for way more than that. And it was something that
I remember that.
even the PEA was, their own Parks and Education Association wasn't even in an agreement with it because of perceived inequities. And that's where, I mean, I'm a service dude, like, you put the uniform on, you know what I mean? But they don't see it that way. The rest of that staff, at least some, don't see it that way. So, good question, probably a poor answer again. So, anything else?
No, that's all I got.
Okay.
All right, we will move on to item B. Review policy manual. The following ASBSD policies are being presented for review and a second reading. GCA-R1, GCBB, GCBCC, GCBDA, GCBDB. And that was from last month. I don't believe we had any changes last month.
Nope.
Does anybody have anything this month? Okay, we'll move on to C, review policy manual. The following policy, ASBSD policies are being presented for review and adoption. GBL, GBM, GBM-R1, GCA, GCB, GCBA. And this is the third and final reading. I don't believe we had any changes on that group either,
Nope.
so.
Just need a
If
motion.
nobody has anything else, I'll accept a motion to approve the policy manuals.
So
A second.
Moved by Prohl, seconded by,
Rope.
sorry.
That's all right. At least you said it right.
Yeah. Any further discussion? If none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item D, handbook changes. The board will address any changes to the middle school, high school handbooks introduced at the June meeting.
Any more clarification, Mr. Knipling, on that, or what we talked about in June relatively stays the same, that you had your block, your schedule in there, your advisory block, and then you had your eligibility related to online courses, and then you had your cheating.
Yeah, I mean, no
Nothing
further
there.
adjustments. If you guys are okay with it as it's written there, that's how I would make the adjustments in those areas of the handbook.
Need a motion for that?
Yes, we do, because then we publish them, and people, that's when people say, you can't do that, or I didn't know that, and you said, well, it's in the handbook.
Okay. I'll accept the motion to accept the handbook changes.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Moved by Turner, seconded by Prohl. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item E, joint facility membership with Avera. The board will discuss the proposed joint membership program for facility usage and the annual fees for access.
This document's got some yellow, green, and blue in there. That was agreed upon, about a year ago, and then we've, I guess, went through this particular year, starting back in September. We're coming up on September as far as our renewal dates. One, doing our community membership, but doing our own independent membership to the Trojan Fitness space, as well as the other supporting, ancillary spaces there, because it gives them access to everything, essentially. So those price points, I believe, I talked with Lindsay briefly, there's nothing, at least she indicated to me that they had any notion of doing anything with their membership. We did this a year ago, so just wanted to bring it back to your attention for the conversation. If you look at the yellow part, so Parkton School District patron family access only to our footprint. If you have students in school, that's a $200, membership. And then for those people who are Parkton School District but don't have any kids here, that's a $330 investment. So that's really the gist of that. And at this stage of the game, and what that money generated, John, you're probably going to ask the question, how much did it generate? I don't have that answer for you. That's a great question, but what kind of funds we have actually sitting in there that generated from membership, I honestly don't off the top of my head. Now, Jason, I suspect that's something you probably, it's the last thing on your radar screen too. So.
Oh, that's kind of early to even get a feel for that. When did we start that last August, September? So I mean, it hasn't been a year yet.
Signing up. So what we will be sending out, I got to devise a letter for a renewal membership, and then we'll push that out here in August. And anybody who has a membership, we'll mail it to them. Hey, your renewal's coming up. Resubmit your dollar amount, and that's what this is about. We're going to establish or leave the dollar amount the way it is, and then, we'll get some people who won't pay, and guess what? Well, the card's going to go inactive. So, if we hear grumbling or mumbling, or if we end up getting, their reoccurring membership fees coming through there. So, but other than that, I just revisit it, I guess. It's something that we'll probably do even another year from now. So we'll see where things are at on that.
So it was well received.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you that we are north just in our own access to the Parkston and the Trojan Fitness space and the rest of our spaces. We're probably closer to 30 memberships, if maybe not even over at this point in time. So,
Okay.
And then the community aspect, there's probably another maybe just shy of a dozen that have established a community membership, so then when they go to the hospital, they get access to the hospital, they get access to us, the hospital turns around and gives us the proceeds, the split on that. So yeah, I mean, they're probably looking 30, 40 memberships total, which even for the first year, probably exceeded my expectation.
All the equipment, everything's going good, no
Yeah.
problems with the equipment or anything?
Yeah, I mean, even to the point where I know football, I think, is using their own dollars to put a couple different items in there, that he wanted to use in his own money to do that. So there's plenty of room in that footprint to do that. But we've called push pedal and pull. I think there was 2 items that needed a part replaced, but it was relatively easy. So other than that, for the most part, being treated well, it's working well. I haven't heard of you know, anything that's gone awry, you know, mismanaged, mishandled, people are like, proud of it and taking care of it and using it appropriately. Even, I mean, and the biggest of those would be our kids. That's so, you know, been a good thing, so.
Okay, any other questions on that?
So I would ask for a motion, Matt, to leave the fee.
Okay.
as stipulated, so.
I'll accept the motion to leave the joint facility membership at the Vera fee, same as in 2024.
The same as 24, 25, so
24,
25, 26 stays the same, so.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Schoenfelder, seconded by Turner. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Athletic handbook changes. The board will be updated on the proposed changes to the athletic handbook that addresses regular and state tournament transportation expectations.
So we adopted a handbook here a couple years ago, and it's, I don't know, 15 pages thereabout, but it outlines a lot of things within our athletic programs. Adam created that, or Mr. Fisher did, and then you see the two components in red that talks about Parsons State Tournament policy. This is more about transportation than it is anything, so I think some clarification there based on perhaps maybe I get some miscommunication, I think, or misrepresentation as to what was the expectation. This puts it out there, so any one of our sport athletic activities, and even any activity, what is the notion and utilization of a coach? And, you know, just because you got to, I get to, doesn't necessarily, you know, stipulate that. So there's protocol here that was really not defined in there, so that's what you see in the red to help, I think, maybe take some of the sting out of that decision. You know, when the decision's made, it's done, it's over with, and we're not gonna sit here and beat this up and rehash it, you know, 3 different times because, you know, one particular activity got to take it and perhaps the next one didn't. So it's just clarification. So that's proposed, and I worked with Mr. Fisher on this to see what you have in front of you here. So unless there's specific questions about that.
So you want a motion to approve that?
Please.
I'll accept a motion to approve the updates to the athletic handbook.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Kroll, seconded by Schoenfelder to approve the changes to the athletic handbook. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Employee handbook. The school board will be presented with a newly created employee handbook that outlines work expectations for all employees.
So, yeah, again, kill more trees for you, but I've been working on this probably for the better part of a year now. And it is a compilation of work that I had done in my previous school district, but I also took bits and pieces of information from our neighbor, Plaquemines, West Central. Geez, I can't remember who the other one was. I had 4 people respond to me. So what you see is a representation of basically day-to-day operations, procedures, not necessarily policy, even though you can find some of that in the negotiated agreement and perhaps even in policy. It's more procedural stuff as to what can be expected of all of our staff. And it's not classified, certified, although there are certain portions of this particular handbook that address certain things in classified and certain things in certified. It's an employee handbook overall. One of the main components of that, which I use traditionally, and it's kind of a, I don't know, catch-all, is you can find, let's see, it's acknowledgement of policy that they have to abide by within your manual, so probably I didn't have to put the number of pages on the bottom, but I apologize for that. So the top says employment policies, and then there's a whole list from sexual harassment, non-discrimination, tobacco-free, anti-fraud, complete or equal employment. Those are all things that traditionally is expected that us as a school district have to make our staff aware of, that these components are in there. So it's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's page 9. I apologize. I thought, oh, it is on the bottom left, and there are numbers there. I didn't see that. So yes, it is page 9 if you look in the bottom left. But they see this. Now, whether they see it, whether they read it, not my problem. But when things arise in those particular instances about procedural employment issues or concerns, then that's a place where we refer back to. And at the very last, the very bottom or the last page of that, there's something that they have to sign off on. And we acknowledge the fact they have to sign off. So they can't use the fact, well, I didn't know that. Well, I got your signature here. It says you read this, or you at least acknowledged it. So whether you read it or not, again, not our problem. So it's something that's been asked for, I think, the last couple of years, probably more so. And it helps with bringing new employees into, what is the expectation as far as, what does our work day look like? What can you do, what can't you do? I mean, everywhere from dress to, parent-teacher conferences. I mean, it's just, does it have everything in there? Probably not. I'm sure I missed some components, but for the most part, I think it's a pretty good rendering or, an example of what is expected for our classified and certified teachers of this. And then I will make them aware. They've never seen this. And the one thing I would say about this is not a negotiable item. The employee handbook is not negotiable. There's components that are in your negotiated agreement that perhaps are referenced in here and that will be abided by. But the overall handbook in general, those are conditions of what you guys stipulate as employment. So you don't get to argue every point in your work environment. Unless some of you guys can give me examples in your own world. Those of you that are independent and self-employed, maybe you get to argue with yourself about what you get to and what you don't get to do. I don't know. So, questions?
I think it's a good thing. I think it's well overdue.
Yeah.
I think it'll
Okay.
be, as long as it's, clarity is there, whether they agree or not is a different matter, but
Yeah.
clarity is there, so.
Right. So it took me a while, but it's there, so apologize for that. But yes, it is something new that, I don't know, I'm sure it can cause some angst on somebody's part, but it is what it is. So,
And you would like a motion to approve that?
yes, I
or-
do.
Okay.
I would like that. So,
I'll accept a motion to approve the employee handbook.
I'll second.
Moved by Turner, second by Prohl to approve the employee handbook. Any further discussion?
I just had a quick question here on cell phone use.
yeah.
Has that been a big issue here?
So are we talking about students or are we talking about staff?
Both.
You'll see many school districts right now,
I
it's
saw
on the
that.
news all the time,
I
that
saw
they're
that.
putting the kibosh to it, eliminating, you can't even walk out the door, they're gonna frisk you to find your cell phone. I think Mr. K probably does a great job, it impacts more of his 6 through 12 than it does anybody else. But our teachers all probably handle that, and we have in the handbook as far as what is expected in cell phones, and it's clarified in here. But I don't know, Mr. K, we're not battling that thing day in and day out, are we, as far as kids' utilization of cell phones? I mean, it's not causing you angst every day, does it?
The cell phone issue?
Yeah.
I mean, no. I think it's one of those things where I think as the year goes on, they're always trying to push. It's the end of the minutes, right? I don't think we ever feel the fight really during the instructional time. It's that trying to hold it to just the 5 minutes between class, not them to extend it to the first 5 minutes of class and the last 5 minutes of class, right? Like that's the only battle. But I feel like our policy is pretty straightforward. If I see it, you're going to lose it. End of the day, I don't think I've ever had a single kid refuse to give it up, and and have to bring a adult in like that. That kind of thing doesn't happen. As you see the policies around the state, I've considered off and on for the last couple of years the idea of if I was ever going to change anything, is whether or not it has any place at all, even in the 5 minutes in between in middle school. Just because in middle school, not every kid has a phone. And so it's for social equity, what if there was no phone during the day. Like, that's something I've really strongly considered. But I just struggle with it because they've been so good at the policy we've had. So like, why take more away when they've respected what, especially in the middle school world, we have zero issues. Like, they respect that to the letter. So I have a hard time taking more away from them, but on the other hand too, just when you do the reading like we've talked about and stuff before, like, I just don't know. Like, when half the sixth graders don't have one, and the other half do. Are we creating an inequity there that is unfair for those kids that don't, and the parents that don't want to give it to them as a middle school,
But we've created, I mean, Coach K's done a good job of creating an environment, especially at lunchtime, where you and I are sitting down having lunch together. I mean, we're at least having a conversation, because what is the expectation about the cell phones? I mean, they have to have some interaction, especially at the middle school level.
I don't let them have their phone out until the last 5 minutes of lunch. So you got a half-hour lunch, first 25 minutes are phone free. With the idea being there is socialize, talk to the people around you. Because if you don't, it's pretty sad to see. Like, they will just bury it and they don't talk to each other. And the hope is in the middle school world, I let them have recess for about the last 10 to 15 minutes. So most kids are so tied up in recess that even when the last 5 minutes come, they don't come out anyway. But there's probably 15% that the second the 5 minutes hit, they're on it, right? But they do respect it and wait until then. So we're just good.
So it's a good question, but and even of our staff, I think for the most part do well. I don't know that we've ever had an inordinate amount of interruptions within a class period. The staff are very respectful of that. Their phone is off or it's nowhere in sight. I mean, so it's not like the staff's cell phone's ringing in the middle of a lecture or anything like that. So, and if they do use it, perhaps it's in a planning period, or perhaps in the workroom in which they're using it in. So, I mean,
we talk about it often during staff meetings, just the idea of model the behavior you want to see. And so obviously it's good to talk to the students every once in a while about the understanding that this is our workplace and sometimes the phone will be needed and we have to have it for certain reasons, but to not be on it excessively. And I believe that they do a good job with it.
we don't have staff exiting or excusing themselves from the classroom in order to use the cell phone.
Yeah, I think if you'd rather have them use it at their desk for a minute or step out for 5, I'd rather have them use it at their desk for a minute, stay within the classroom and stay under supervision. So.
That's a good question, but I know that we have huge concerns.
Anything else? Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item H, open meetings law review.
Well, okay, so, for hot off the presses, this is as of July 1, a new law, Senate Bill 74, if I recall. So, conducting the public's business in public, Guide to South Dakota Open Meetings Laws. The reference here, I'm not insulting anybody's intelligence, so you have to have clarification, I guess, or documentation of the fact that this was discussed as a school board, so you know what is expected in open meetings laws, and I think we do a pretty good job. Jason and I visited a little bit today. Perhaps sometimes we send out, I contact you via an email or a text message. The constant expectation is that you don't hit the reply all button, because anytime you do that, then you're interacting as a board as a whole. You all do a very good job of responding to me individually, whether for whatever format that is, so you guys do a good job of not continuing to have those conversations, depending on what I pose to you as a school board. So, it's got some Q&A there, if you go to the second page where South Dakota's open meeting laws, essentially that particular law states that anything you do collectively where you have more than a quorum, maybe I'll deviate here. I don't know if you saw a couple months or a couple weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, our neighbor to the north, where there was 4+ board members in an establishment where somebody took a picture of them after a school board meeting, participating. What they were doing, didn't say, nobody was there. It was just a picture of board members interacting at a table with, I suspect, an alcoholic beverage. It's those types of things, right? You can't create the image that you guys are outside of a published school board open meeting that you're conducting business. It doesn't doesn't prohibit, I should say, you from having a phone call with each other independently. That's not part of it. You can do that. There is some protocol, though, as far as trying to build consensus on a particular matter about an agenda item of consternation, where you're working behind the scenes, even when you're independent, that perhaps decisions are made in an email or a private conversation or 5 private conversations about when we get to that open meeting, that we will have that vote already decided. There's, be careful about ever putting yourself in that position. So when you're having those types of scenarios, board agenda conversations, again, full disclosure, transparent during the meeting to speak your mind, and take solicitation of everybody's opinion on that and give everybody an opportunity to do that. So it's not just a no conversation type of situation, and you call a vote as the president and all of a sudden 5-0 slam bam, it's done deal. So that's probably inappropriate. You can be prosecuted for open meetings violation, so we can go in front of the commission as a board, and then if there is even further extenuating circumstances, there can be prosecution because you're violating the South Dakota Codified Law. Do I know what those are? No, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I don't know what those particular penalties would be for that particular going to that extent, but yeah. I mean, it's just clarification, it's information about what is expected as a public entity, your elected officials, and everything that you do is to make sure that you operate in full disclosure in an open meeting and transparent as possible. Conversation, questions, discussion. I would encourage you to read it. It's, probably 5-10 minutes of your time, but it certainly helps from a school board member and any other perhaps board you would sit on. It's a good reminder, as to what is expected.
Okay. We'll move on to letter I, review of the Ethan Parkston Athletic Cooperative Agreement.
So that came back. We never approved that in June. I let you see that if the 13 articles. Well, in this particular case, I put it back in there, and I believe I added an Article 14. I talked to Mr. Hawkins from Ethan. Well, they did not approve it in June, nor did we. But I asked the question point blank: will you approve this in July? And I said, because I'm going to direct my board to approve this in July. I don't believe we had any great length conversation or anything in the particular agreement that caused this angst. Their one particular question, that was the track replacement concept and the cost, 80-20 division on that. That was a random number that Craig and I sat down, even with Tim and Mary, and clarification as to why we would come up with that number. And it was based on the cost replacement at that time, about $180,000, what would be a reasonable amount that any one school district, we own it's on our physical property, blah, 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 but they're part of the program and utilizes it to the greatest extent. So they have to have some skin in the game. They agreed to that. So their question up there is, where did the 20% come from? So when I refreshed Tim's memory after that, we had that conversation, him and I. He said, okay, yep. He said, I can explain that to them. That was the only thing that came out of the conversation in the Ethan Board June meeting that he made me aware of. So it is what it is. I added Article 14 there, and that stipulates, oh geez, what was it? That him and I both agreed. Oh, the future. There was nothing addressed about future cooperative sports on there as to maybe perhaps how that goes. So In the event there is consideration of expanding the number of athletic programs between the school districts, all articles cited in the document will be addressed by both boards. Each district cooperative committee, prior to presenting options for additional sports that are already South Dakota School Association sponsored program, students, parents, and district stakeholders. So it's just bringing the acknowledgement that there's a process that we follow in order to expand. So, and I think too, it's clarification. In my opinion, guys, in my short time here, we've added, girls wrestling, we've added softball, and I think, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like sometimes we're painted into a corner, before it even happens, and it puts us in a bad light. It puts at least you as board members in a bad light. So hopefully this now will help take some of that, alleviate some of that thought or that feeling that, we got railroaded on this deal. So and part of that is because he agreed to the committees and having a sports co-op committee. That'll be one of the things when we, go through here in the action item to put somebody's name on that. So, and it's typically two people. So they have two, we have two administrators. So you get together collectively as a committee and have these conversations before it ever goes to that nth degree to bring it to both boards. So that's been added. That's the only thing that's different from June till July was the addition of Article 14. But I would like or seek approval that you guys approve this varsity and athletic cooperative.
Does anybody have any questions?
I know some transportation, Mr. Rickman.
Yeah.
Not
Which
too much-
article, John?
I'm sorry, 9.
Okay.
I don't disagree with what's being proposed here.
Yep.
I'm just wondering is, how do we decide which vehicle to use, whether it's theirs or ours?
Typically, what we've done in the past, it's by direction. So oftentimes, if we're gonna go that way, those directions up there, we'll take a vehicle, we'll put that on our dime, so to speak, but it's added to the end of the expense.
I get that.
We'll get with Foreman and we'll take the bus. Now, the stipulation from using one bus to 2 buses is conversations with ADs and admin as to the necessity. Do we need really 2? Because 3 years ago, there was just, we're gonna take 2 just because we're gonna take 2. And neither one of them was half full. So we tightened that up. We're not doing that. And if we can get away with 1 bus, us going that direction, them going this direction, then that's what we strive for. Or if it's 1 bus and perhaps their mini bus or our 15 passenger, then we'll do everything we can to minimize the number of buses that are traveling, especially full-size buses up and down. But it is admin directive on that as to what we're doing, and we've tightened that up. And it even goes to the point where transportation for practices, we've tightened that up.
I was gonna ask that too.
Yes, it got changed this year, and we're no longer coming here every day of the week for practice. We're staying home. We're staying home and doing our own things. When the workouts are fairly easy, maybe it's a recovery day, you had a hard meet day yesterday, or maybe you just had hard practice yesterday. We're gonna do some road miles, do a few loosening up sprints, things like that. It's stuff that can be done in their own 2 entities, I'm staying home. So we're lessening the amount that's being added to the final bill with the travel expenses involved in that. So, and that was very much agreed upon between Mr. Hawkins and myself. And it's been articulated in a manner that it's not open for discussion. This is the way we're going to do this. You don't have to like it, but this is the way we're going to do it. So, yeah. So, good question.
Anything else? Okay, I'll accept a motion to approve the Ethan Parkson Athletic Cooperative Agreement.
I'll second it.
Moved by Schoen, Felder, seconded by Kroll. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item J, discuss district reimbursement rates.
So that is this particular sheet that you see here. It's got some color on it. If you look, horizontally, from right to back to left, you can see what has been done with that over the years. So, in this particular year, Mr. Fisher and Mr. Bruning, before he left, were doing research on that. And there was some requests on some of our people who are typically we rely on, we call on in order to fulfill those sub-level participation, or at least game opportunities. You gotta have somebody to officiate all those stuff, run score clocks and things like that. So what you see there is reflective of surrounding school districts, that it puts us in compliance. We're not Johnny always asks, are we high, are we low? We're in the middle. We're not the highest, we're not the lowest, but we're competitive with what people are paying in those particular situations. So that's basically the reimbursement rates. You can see JV officials, you can see football, announcer, timer, music operator, chain gangs, basketball officials at the sub-level, line judging for volleyball, and then you have volleyball for tournaments, things of that nature. So that's really only the changes that we're recommending at this point in time. The mileage, you can see the very first one stays the same as it was last year, and that's still reflective of what state rates are. So unless there's anything else there, we're just seeking your approval, and that will be recorded in the minutes that way, that's our new price points that we're paying for people to participate in those, or help us out with those activities. So
One question I
Yes,
had
sir.
was the driver's ed rate, were we gonna increase that?
Let's see here, is that this one yet?
So down here on
What is
E,
260?
it says 260.
Yeah, so is that item J though? That's my other thing. Yeah, so, let me look here. That is down in item E.
Yeah. It was included on this schedule here, so.
Oh, yes, yes. So it is not reflective on this particular document. Where is that?
Very bottom.
Wait, up there.
Oh, yes, it should be changed. Yeah. So I'll note that.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, good catch.
Do you find you have a hard time finding substitute paras with the lower pay rate versus the teacher substitute pay rate?
I don't know if it's any more difficult. We have a pretty reliable pot of people, and most of those people, whether they sub for a para or whether they sub in a teacher's classroom, I don't know that we've ever had anybody ever really point out or ask, as to the reasons and rationale for the price point. And obviously, if they're doing classified stuff, it's a little bit different than being in charge of an entire classroom. So, good question, but no, not really.
I know, like when we were in winter, they for the teacher substitute, if the substitute was a certified teacher, retired or whatever, but still had their certification active, they got paid more
Yeah.
versus just Joe
Yeah.
Schmo.
And that's pretty typical. In a lot of school districts, you'll see that they'll have two deviations of certified staff, one is substitute and somebody who's non-certified. Essentially, I don't know, I think this has been this way. There is no deviance from that. It is what it is, regardless of whether you're certified or not. This is what we're gonna pay. So. And I did the same thing when it came. We didn't have that differentiation between certified and non-certified.
I would think if you provide that experience, the students are getting a better, experience than if it's just somebody that just sits there and doesn't.
Well, could make that correlation, but I've had plenty of people non-certified over the years that created a much better learning environment than one that was perhaps certified at one point in time. So it would make sense. It correlates in your head, but that's not necessarily always the case. But my comment to that is quite often it's on the prep side of the teacher that's absent.
No, absolutely.
And what experience did they create for that particular teacher? And if they want it to be a babysitting event, then that's how much work goes in from the teacher's perspective, and here's what I want you to do. Or if they want people to teach in their absence, then they'll create that learning experience too and ask them to, go to the nth degree to create that learning environment, so.
I know that when Nicole was in winter, she very much changed her sub plans depending on who she knew, sub and what they were capable of.
Absolutely. Yeah. And again, would that change come based on just because somebody had certification? In my opinion, no, because some of the better substitute teachers I've had over the years were not teachers at all. But that's just the kind of person they were, so.
I'm just glad we got people in the community that step up.
It's getting harder, don't get me wrong.
There's a lot of stuff here,
Yeah.
a lot of things.
Yeah. And if you look at all the stuff that we ask people to do, yeah, it's like, oh my gosh, who does all that stuff? And there's a small part of people, that's why we have to address some of this stuff, and they've made the comments that it's getting harder for me to take off work, whatever it is, and come ref football or come ref basketball. They want to, but they have to consider what they're doing, so. So I guess what we're looking for there, Matt, is an approval of those rates that you see in fiscal year '26 as to the increases in those one particular line items.
With the change to the driver's ed.
Yes, sir. To reflect 260.
I'll accept a motion as such.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Moved by Prohl, second by Roth, to approve the reimbursement rates for the 25-26 school year, correct?
Yes, sir.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item K, maintenance facility. The school board will review the drawing received by Ethan Co-op Lumber to determine the next steps for proceeding for the process of building a maintenance facility.
Well, it probably took maybe longer than it should have, so, but nonetheless, what you see in front of you is a rendering that I had an opportunity to stop and talk with Dan and Ashley and kind of give them the 10,000-foot view as to perhaps maybe what we're looking at, and this is what they created. So you can kind of see directions there. As we sit in this facility right now, if you turned all look that way, down in that corner, that's exactly how you would see it sitting. So turn it portrait or landscape style, the door to the north, and then the door that faces the west. You can see that there's 12 spaces in there. You got an office in there, bathroom in there, you got storage space up above, and there you can see the landing that's in there, and then the small door that goes back out to the east. And that would be for, basically your track equipment and, bringing your porta pits and all that stuff in and out of there, so it's a little more accessible. So if you want to look at the outside appearance, you can see the renderings as to what it would look like. That first one, left-hand corner, that you're looking at it, if we were sitting here and turned around and looked at it, you would see what it looked like. The one to the right of that is looking from the north to the south, and then you can see the one in the bottom left-hand corner, that's you standing east and looking west. And then the other one is from the south looking north. So wainscoting, steel building, essentially pole shed, but all flat work on the inside with drain tile, drain floors in there. I told them we're access to what we have for water and sewer out there. Just because of the proximity, thought it would be pretty easy, pretty close. The rendering itself, I believe, was 150. Jeez, I didn't put that in there. 154 foot wide, 52 foot wide, and 146 foot long, if I recall.
Big building to store 12 vehicles.
Yeah, but we got 2 mowers, we got two tractor mowers in there, but one's got deck, two decks, one deck. One deck, one broom, one snow blower. We got all kinds of stuff yet that's in the shop that can be relocated out there. We got plenty of other areas where we still have stuff stashed in corners. Especially in the Connex box that sits out there is plumb full. That's where we store all of our track stuff. It's not a great space. We bought that, 4 years ago now, guys, just to try to take the edge off of no space inside until we got the facility built. Always with the intention of getting rid of that when we got to that point. But that's where all of our track stuff, we got other storage stuff that's out there. We keep a lot of desks, support, stuff that we need for, from time to time. So very easily the utilization of that space, and we have anticipation. We have 7 vans, 1 Expedition, 1 15-passenger van. Looking at another purchase of another 15-passenger van, and then perhaps a new mower tractor type. We've had that in that capital outlay budget here last couple of years. We haven't yet pulled the trigger on something of that nature, but those mowers they're getting to the point where that's, I don't know how much life they got left in them yet. So, yeah, in order to make it fit, I asked that same question, but there's a certain amount of space. I mean, Dan rattled it off, just like yesterday. He goes, well, you need this amount. How many vehicles? You need this amount per vehicle. I mean, I don't know where he got it from. He just knows that, based on, and I forget what the dimensions were in order to park all your stuff in there. So, so I asked the question, what does this cost? I mean, not the entire footprint, but for them to do what they did and just created here. He said, our thought on that is typically if somebody came in and said, hey, we want this, and let's say it was a house plan or whatever, they charge $1,200, to do that, which is way more than any architect, or way less, sorry, than any architect or any construction management firm is ever going to, charge you for doing that. But he said, if you end up going through with us or we get the bid, then that money is receipted back to you on the overall cost of the project. So essentially, if we walk away from this thing, we're going to owe him some money, for creating this rendering, because they don't do it for nothing. But the real question is, what are next steps on that? Now, can I tell you what all the specs are? I think we were talking 14-foot sidewalls, perhaps, steel, insulated, it's got heat in it, water, sewer. I mean, we rattled some of that stuff off. That's not representative here, but we did have those conversations. So the next step, we technically would be putting specs together, having everything outlined, defining it, your sides of your sidewalls, the number of actual, doors, the height of your doors, width of your doors. I mean, what kind of steel, what kind of wainscoting you're putting on it, fixtures, things like that. So if you wanted to take that next step, technically that would be the next step. So they would do that, and that would be part of the $1,200 that we would owe them for going to that degree of getting you something. Now, as far as releasing all that stuff or going to the event of advertising for bids, then essentially if they drew up the specs part of it, then, just no different than when we did construction management or when we did the RFP for architects, I did all that stuff and advertised it in the right places to make sure we're in compliance with the law. So, questions, thoughts, ideas? Like, don't like?
I kind of agree with Andrew. This is a little bit bigger than I was picturing, I guess. I think maybe Scott had suggested a couple meetings ago, or maybe, the drive-through aspect of it is nice, but I mean, I think you could probably get another, if you just came in from the side or whatever, you could probably get 3 vehicles in a row there. Yeah, it'd take a lot more coordinating to get the right vehicle where it needs to be, but I mean, we all do that, I think, in our own lives with our kids getting, cars getting boxed in and stuff. I don't know, it just seems like a lot to me. I mean, that's a big building.
Especially if you kind of keep similar vehicles in the same row and need a car or a van or whatever, you could just.
And I know one of the goals was to, eliminate all the clutter back there in the
Yeah.
shop. I mean, that was, and I understand we need some space for that. And I never really, I guess, maybe I didn't think far enough ahead, but I really wasn't envisioning a heated building.
Yeah, even though.
I can see some necessity of having that if we're gonna have snow blowers out there and whatever in the winter. But yeah, that puts a whole another price level to the project, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, even the necessity for an office or bathroom space. I mean, it's really about, this is the starting point, right?
Right.
Either scale it down or, and they're willing to, make it whatever it is that you're looking for. So if you're, that's a larger door, where it doesn't have the necessity to have 14-foot overhead door in it. Maybe that's 12-foot or, 10, but this is an A-frame style, you can see that on there, so,
And
they'll do whatever.
Possibly, I don't know the economics of it at all, but they may come back and say, well, by the time you add all those individual headers and individual garage doors, you're probably, how much farther are you gonna be? I don't know any of that stuff, I guess.
So what did you envision? You want, let's say we got right now, I think I rattled off 7 vans, a 15-passenger, and that's what, 9? 9 different doors? Well, I mean, what are you talking about here?
Well, I mean, no, if you did 3 different doors, just stack them 3 deep.
One in front of the other?
Yeah.
With no way out?
Yeah.
So if I need the one up front, I got it back, the other.
Just like I had to tell my daughter to do, to come to this meeting today.
I don't care, it
I'm
makes
just,
no difference to me.
That's-
I just gotta know which way we're gonna
that's,
pursue this, so.
maybe I'm thinking too small here, I guess, but I guess I don't know.
I like your line of thinking.
And I have no
Obviously.
idea what to even give you about price points. As that thing sits right now, I have no idea.
Typically, building for just your structure, your metal, is about $22 a square foot.
Sure.
And then concrete's about $6 a square foot. Electrical,
So now up to
Well, I
28,
didn't-
now
I
you're up to
didn't-
28 square foot, 22, 6, 28.
when I did mine out there, that cost, I think I was right at 9. That was a 50 by 80 for electrical, and that was nothing fancy. So
28, 9, now I'm at $37 a square foot.
that was 9,000 flat out.
Grand, okay.
Yeah, so I don't know what that, I guess I never broke that down per
Per
square
square
foot.
foot.
Yeah. So, so yeah, I mean, there. And then, I don't remember what that 23 included the door. The big, and I
What
just
big
put
door?
one. Heck was that?
Big one, 4 foot
24 by
overhead, you get-
16,
Oh, really?
yeah. But it's just one door. And
What was your sidewalls?
18,
Oh, they were.
yeah.
Okay.
But like I said, we can get away with just one door. You in, you back out.
Mhm.
Just gotta be a little careful,
Right.
or whatever. And do we need concrete? If we just do gravel,
Yeah,
I don't
right.
know.
Rock or whatever.
Yep.
So, or have one area of concrete for working. I don't.
Put some and leave some for others. Now, so
Right.
when I built this facility in Mount Vernon right before I came, we didn't cement it. And we parked the buses in it at the time.
Sure.
So what happened during the course, especially in the springtime, so when the buses came in, all the moisture was there. When the frost came out of the ground and when you drove in, then the ruts
Sure.
got that deep. Because of the weight of the vehicle and the moisture coming out of the ground and all the moisture that you brought in every time you parked the bus from the wintertime.
Yeah.
Because they did heat it, so all that stuff sat there. So when you came in the spring of the year, then they started
Sure.
developing ruts in there too. So, and I think they ended up going back and cementing the floor in it.
Sure.
But, because it made sense to me. I mean, why would we do that? Because all they're gonna do is drive dirty vehicles in there anyway and let the stuff drip off and fall off. Well, that's what they ended up.
Right.
Some of the angst that caused them, so. But,
Well,
You know
if we're gonna do buses, 52 probably wouldn't be wide enough.
No, it's
Unless-
not.
Unless we.
I wasn't considering buses at all.
Right.
Yeah, this is just strictly our own fleet that you got here.
Right.
But one of the things I know, at one point in time, you guys had a conversation way before my time here. If you looked at that building, downsizing it as far as perhaps width and even length on that, and you create more of that one door approach where, let's say you're looking at this, you drive in a 16 by wide, 9 by 16 type of door, and then you come in here, and there would be the slots all up, let's say on that east side of the wall, you know, individual, you know, that you can put them in there. As you drive in the one door, and it kind of fans out. And that premise came from, I know West Central has that, because I've been in that facility, and that's what they did. And it was nothing more than it looked like a garage. You know, it was an A-frame, but it looked size-wise, it was like a typical garage, but the door was bigger, because the door went up, you know, it went in like that. So,
Well, one thing for sure, I think we can dump one of these doors. I mean, even if we left everything as is, you know, I think if we start having some sort of entrance where each vehicle has its own overhead door, I think it's going to blow the cost of having one door just right out of the park. In my opinion, once again, I've thought the numbers in front of me. I guess we don't know. But as far as the office goes and the storage area, what's the mindset in this? Or was this to give these guys, and as far as maybe even heating this, to give these guys a place to work on this stuff? How much do our maintenance guys, once again, put in as far as work out there?
So it's cleaning, it's doing wash, you know, it's kind of better than what we do right now. Vacuuming inside and out, you know, doing a pressure washer on them right now. The necessity for an office, honestly, is it there? No, but there again, this is just what Dan put together without an expectation. I didn't say put this stuff in here, but that's the rendering that they created. The only thing I said, perhaps storage on the top side, you know, type of deal. And even the necessity of a bathroom, I said, I'm not sure we even need that. But this is your starting point, so, you know, it's all good feedback you're giving here. I mean, I can certainly go back with them to everything that you said here and try to scale it down. So, the bigger question is something you still want to pursue and get to a point of another rendering, something a little bit more representative of what your intentions were, and then, you know, the next step, probably putting some specs together on it. And do you want something that looks to that magnitude as far as the side or size, or do you want something more reflective of what looks like a garage, even though it's a pole building? You know what I mean?
If we would drop everything to the right over here,
Yep.
I think then we're getting more in the scope of what we need.
What you
Just in
thought.
my, just what
you
I
originally
originally
thought.
thought of,
Yep.
in my opinion. I don't really think we need this large door. This door over here, I don't know. Depending what we want to bring in and out of this thing. I wouldn't mind having maybe one smaller door if we're gonna be working on, you know,
Yep.
snow blowers and whatnot. If it's actually, you know.
Right. And you do
I
need
don't
some
know.
of that space, in my opinion,
You
to
do.
work on those devices, because we change out the snow blower, we change out the mowers, we put on the broom that's on there. And it's nice to have that little workspace in order to do that, you know.
Instead of having an office and a bathroom, a storage area, leave this area, if we're just gonna put cars and bus and leave this area gravel, but then maybe make this area concrete, so you can drive your snow blower in there, you
Yeah.
can drive your,
Don't have to lay in dirt.
you don't have to lay in dirt, and out there, I love my storage area above. I got more crap up there already, but, yeah, so, and then. plus
Is there a
that,
necessity for storage up above?
It just gives you, it's free space.
Right.
Got the volume in the building already.
Right,
Just
so
need a
yeah,
floor.
it's for extra space, I guess. And, you know, a place to hang your tools and, you know, and they
Right.
can do their own oil change, you know, whatever,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
And we
so.
have all of that stuff right now where during school year, I get it out, I've gotten it out of the shop, I've conditioned them to get it out. But now it's sitting out there, it's stacked piled in the small shed behind the greenhouse.
Sure.
So stuff that, you know, when mowing season and all that stuff, the other things that support all that stuff, you know, type of deal end up in that particular space as well, so. But, yeah, I mean, it's all good feedback, good information, I can go back, you know, with that. My bigger question is what type of door do you want to see in it? And what type of sidewalls, how big of sidewalls do you want? Because I believe, obviously, these are 16-foot sidewalls, if I recall, because you got a 14-inch door in there.
Yeah, they're drawing.
It says 16 right there.
Is that, yeah, that's what it was, if I recall right, so.
I would think 14 would be plenty. I mean, unless you're,
How tall is that van?
What size?
How tall is that van? That 15 passenger van, that's not,
Yeah, it's high-rise. It's got that cabin approach.
You need a 14-foot door or a 12-foot door work for that?
Oh, I would, easy.
sure, so.
Chop 2 feet off the building.
Yeah.
I know I got a friend, he built a hybrid building. It's got red iron trusses that go across, but then you can space them out farther.
Oh,
So
sure.
if you wanted to do doors on the ends, then you don't need headers. Or you
Oh, really?
just support across the rafters. They have the doors fit in between.
Huh.
So
Cool.
that might be like a more economical way to kind of make 3 doors on the side or something like that. And you can do 3 deep and you get 9 vehicles in that way.
And if we got another one, we're looking at perhaps 10, you know, overall. Now, would we deplete some of the fleet? Perhaps, but they all get used, trust me. I mean, between going to the colonies and activities and this, that, and the other. I mean, the necessity for 7 vans, 15 passenger and expedition. I'm telling you, 4 of those vehicles every day are going to the colonies. So, but, I mean, I'm good with that. I mean, do you want me to go back to him and sit down with him and, you know, continue to pursue and?
I think so.
I think it'd be a good idea.
Yeah.
I do. I think we need something.
Yeah.
What are you guys' thoughts as far as concreting it? I kind of go both ways on that, you know, to be honest with you. You know, if we don't concrete it, we could end up with a little bit of a shit show in there. I mean, if we get a thaw and whatnot, it's,
Is it gonna sit on our existing pad?
So what you have out there in that parking lot aspect of things is, that's your apron. So when we looked at it, when I had them pull up the Google Earth, you know, we honed in on it. So they started drawing the measuring points from the edge of the concrete, which would be the east side of your parking lot. And then it sat back towards, which actually was the the pole vault runway.
Sure.
So it not butted up against there, but there was still a cushion there for sure. But it went from the edge of that concrete west or east side of your parking lot back to whatever that 52 feet was, I think.
Okay.
Right. But yeah, it's gonna be, and you would cut the chain link fence either side, you cut those 3 or 4 trees out of there,
Sure.
erect it right there, and then the parking lot there acts as your apron,
Okay.
you know, going up there. So.
Okay.
If we're gonna concrete half of it, though, back to what you were saying, I don't think it probably costs much more to finish concreting it.
well, I mean, here's my concern. I mean, we are in a slough the way it is.
Yeah. well,
I mean, I'm just saying, we end up with a heavy, I mean, you guys all remember the flooding. We're gonna have to have another year like that.
At some point.
At some point, yes, 100%.
Concrete right now is $200 a yard.
Yeah. I mean,
That's just the
it's an
concrete.
investment.
That's not finished, that's not trowel, that's not,
No.
that's not your rebar, that's not your, but the cement itself.
That's what I said when I
Sure,
did mine,
at least
it
if-
broke down to like $6 a square foot.
And you did, yeah.
Yeah.
At least if we concrete it during the spring, it would just be a bugger for us to, oh, well, we can't use our new garage. We
Right.
can't use this shop, and we can't do anything with it, you know, 'cause it's underwater. I mean, we got 6 inches of water in the whole thing. That would just, I don't know. Or it gets too muddy, I don't know. In my opinion, I lean more toward concreting it out.
I'd rather put the money in concrete than a bathroom or.
Well, 100%, 100%.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, if we can minimize the footprint just a little bit and, yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of good walls, you know, if wherever you did the doors or whatever, there's still a lot of wall space for a workbench, a work wall to hang
Yeah,
tools, you know,
absolutely.
there's a lot of space where that could be done.
I agree.
It's not like we had a lot of fancy tools or anything, I mean, it's
No.
just your bare bone stuff, so I think we can get by with a good tool bench and just a good tool wall and do away with most of that, so.
Okay.
know, a few months ago it was discussed about getting our own buses. Does that need to be considered in this? At least the ability to expand it to house buses if that day comes?
See, I was thinking about that, in this center aisle, I don't know how big this is, but that was one thing going through my mind. If you pull buses in here, now granted, you've got however many buses, but they're probably gonna be the first thing leaving in the morning, correct, or not? All right, so then you could just back them out. Just a thought. I don't know how, I mean, I don't know what that exactly looks like, but there might be room in the center. Now that creates a little bit of a problem with, okay, what do we do with the vehicles on the side? You got one of them coming in late. I don't know, but I think you'd have some room in the center there.
It's the chicken and egg conversation.
It is. It is.
Andrew and I talked about the other day when we sat and visited about this particular concept, is how serious are we about doing the transportation and going out on our own and acquiring perhaps the footprint that sits out here on 44. And, you know, making a proposal to him for the footprint, a number of the eight buses that I know that we would need, you know. And if you can't do that and you're pushing a transportation budget that's pushing 400,000 and you want to, you know, reel some of that in, okay, you build something like this, again, cart before the horse, right? Chicken before the egg. You build something and you're like, oh geez, 2 years later, we made the decision to do that. It would be nice. Well, we're not going to sell you that. That's ours. We're keeping that. Well, then what are you left with? Where are you going to park them now? Right?
Yeah, in my mind, I still view it as two separate projects, I guess. I mean, temporarily, if you had to, you could use that center alley like you talked about, you know, maybe as parking. I don't know that you could do side by side with the other vehicles in there. You could get 2 or 3 in there and maybe use it as your repair shop if you needed to do work on them. But if we needed to put up just another shed, just to house the buses, I don't think that would be that.
Just getting them out of the elements,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Strictly pull.
But then maybe this building should be tall enough to get a bus in it.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Then
That's
you
what
back
I'm
to a
thinking.
14-foot
Yeah.
door so you can at least get them in there.
That's
Yeah.
a fact.
I mean,
Yeah,
It's
and-
16
And
foot
even if
sidewalk.
nothing else, maybe someday we end up going that route and putting up another, we'll call it bus barn or something of that nature due to necessity on that. We could still pull them buses and park one in here to service or do
Right.
something to it, clean it out. You know, that's why I like having this kind of center area. I mean, I like that concept. You know, obviously it's needed to back out anyway, so.
Or go to the, like you said, 16-foot sidewall, we get to the point we leave our cars back outside, put our buses in here until we get
Yeah.
another building built or
Well,
whatever.
I mean, yeah, I mean, that's kind of a bridge we'll cross when we get to it. I mean, to make it some sort of monstrosity just due to the fact, well, we might someday do our own busing, I don't really see the.
Right, I just think of the height, not.
No, I agree with you
If
on
we
that,
would
Andrew.
go
I
chop
think-
it off, and oh crap, it's just 2 foot short, and
Yeah,
it wouldn't
I-
cost that
I-
much more to add 2 foot of height.
I agree.
And maybe location too, leaving space, like where would we put it, so we don't just like, I wish we would've shoved this thing over 15 feet, and then this would've worked.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
type
where
deal.
you start further south, perhaps expand to the north, you start north, so you have the opportunity to expand to the south.
So that was just my kind of future thinking of it. Not saying we need to build it big enough for that, but just options.
Well, I'll continue the conversations, I'll let him know your feedback on this stuff and eliminate some of this stuff and, you know, look at what they come up with from a different size perspective and we'll just continue to work on it, so that's okay with you guys.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay.
All right, we'll move on. Action items. Action item A, designate committee appointments.
So, committees. So I got notes from last year here, so bear with me. I gotta find them. Okay, so we have the committees. You have calendar committee, we have Board of Equalization, we have representative James Valley Co-op Board, we have building and grounds, we have bid opening committee, we have personnel and activities committee, we have curriculum committee, and the one we're gonna add this year would be the co-op committee. So it's basically, school board president has the authority to appoint, but we've never done that. You guys have all had conversations, I'll do this, I'll do that. The first one I can't tell because of Craig's notes. It says President Nebo made the following appointments: Jed Schoenfelder as delegate, John Prohl as the alternate. Now, the only thing I can say about that was our delegate assembly person. I'm assuming.
That's a bugger for me to make it to that.
That Associated School Board
Yes,
one.
that,
Yeah. So those are your committees that you have. So if we wanted to go through that line item by a line item, so you have associated school boards, we need to put a delegate on there. So it was Jed with John as the alternate. So anybody, I don't know that we've ever had anybody attend that delegate
Is that
assembly.
in, no, October, November?
It's November.
Yeah.
It's
it's
like,
like right by Thanksgiving, I wanna say.
yeah, it's a week before.
Yeah,
Thanksgiving.
that's.
But it's the same time as I think as our, the state volleyball tournament, if I recall, and it's in here.
I went to it 2 years ago.
Oh, John, you did go,
Did
John,
go.
yes. Oh, worth the time or not?
Yeah,
It's, you're voting on all their legislative stuff is what they're doing, is
Lot of
building a
voting.
platform. So, you need somebody for that, because you've done it. And Jed and John worked. Jed was the delegate, John was the alternate. Yes, no? You tell me. We'll record them.
yeah, I'm fine. We just want to leave it the
Jed,
same.
you want your name on it?
Sure, why not?
Yeah, perfect. Jed is the delegate, John is the alternate. Okay. Calendar committee. That is a pretty easy job. Sometime in January, start that, and if they can come, Jill came once or twice, but if you can't come, you can't come. We'll get the committee together anyway. But it's so you have a board representative there to try to have some, input and say on establishing the calendar. So, anybody want to jump on board with that? We usually do it after school someday, so, and it's in January. I don't know. Anybody want insight on that? Andrew, you want to give that a whirl? Yeah?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so Andrew is on the calendar committee. John has always been Board of Equalization, and that, you want to stay on that? So that's perfect.
Just for my knowledge, which was that one do?
Okay, so John, go ahead and you can enlighten me as to what that is.
You just head down to the city council and you'll just entertain anybody that
Thinks their taxes are too high.
Correct.
Oh, good job for you.
It's a thankless job because all you do is get a bunch of very upset people sometimes because of the assessed valuation that him as a school board member, you guys suck because you're charging too much money for our taxes. So it's like, what's your assessed valuation, dude? Here's what it is. Here's what everybody else's is. Here's square footage. You're not overcharged. Thank you for coming. Bye-bye now. So, but you can get angst filled, I just know that. So John's on Board of Equalization. Matt, state representative, James Valley Education Valley Co-op Board. That's, I don't know that you've ever done anything, but we just keep it in name in general. Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay, so Matt, BJDC. Scott and Matt, Building and Grounds. I don't know, you got Andrew here, whoever wants to, I don't care.
I'll be willing to jump on that one.
You want Building and Grounds? Matt,
Let's
you
use-
want to fight for it?
Nope, go ahead.
Building and Grounds, so it's gonna be Scott and Andrew. Okay. And then bid opening, John has attended those when we've had them. That's kind of
I'll do
as
that.
far as in between, if we have some, so John will do bid. And then Personnel Activities Committee, that was Jill. And then the other one is Curriculum, and that was Jed. So
I can do both of them if you want, unless somebody wants one of them.
if somebody wants to fight for it, I don't care.
Makes no difference to me. Which ones were those again?
Personnel and Activities, and was Jill, and then Jed, you were Curriculum. I'll put your name on both of them.
Sounds good.
Okay. Curriculum. Okay. Matt duly appoints.
You forgot the cooperative.
What did I mean? Oh, the co-op, excuse me, the co-op committee. Anybody involved in that, Ethan?
I don't have anything else, so I guess I can do it.
Matt, we'll put Matt on that. And actually, we need two. So who else? Scott? Okay, Matt and Scott. Perfect. Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
So we appointed all them, so perfect. I don't know if there's any motion other than you appointed those people.
That'd be written, let it be so.
Yep.
Item B, set activity prices. The board will discuss rates to set all activities that patrons are expected to pay to attend at the following rates. Single game adult, $6, student $4, double header, girls basketball, boys basketball, adult $7, student $5, adult activity pass for ages 20 through 54 is $55. Ages 55 through 64 is $35, and ages 65 through senior citizen and older are free, and all Parkston PK through 12 students and EMS personnel are free.
And we have not raised any of those prices since I've been here. So the suggestion is single game was 5 and 3, moving to 6 and 4, and then your double headers were 6 and 4, moving that to 7 and 5. So if you're wondering why adult activity passes from 20 to 54, because we have 19-year-olds that go to school here. Not many, but they are here. So,
And the, how are those, the higher rates comparative with other schools in their class?
but yeah, we actually we're pretty low, way low.
You know, I've talked to people that have taken tickets before. Would we consider doing a 10 on adults and nothing on any students? For easier change?
It doesn't, I have no heartburn with any of it. And that's, you're talking about students that are visiting.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Makes no difference to me. I did ask Craig before he left, what does that accrue in any one given year? All those games and all those passes and stuff? It was between 30 and 35 grand.
I think $10 would be a lot for an adult. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's-
I think-
I'd complain if I had to pay $10. I guess that's a double header, but still.
Yeah, I think going with the suggestion of, what was it, 7 and 5?
That's for
I think that's fair. Yeah, that's good.
Your single game, 6 and 4 double headers or something.
Yeah, 6 and 4.
And your passes stay what they are.
Yeah, I think that looks good to me.
I will clarify the senior citizen thing. You were charging senior citizens, I don't know, like 25, 30 bucks. We have been. I think that's a PR move, even though we don't get some senior citizens, a lot of them stay home because of Tony's program, which is, all well and good. But, if they're senior citizens, I think that's just a PR move on the school board's part too, if you're 65 and older. Please.
Yeah, they do need the pass though to get in for free, right? They can't just show up.
We'll cut them now, yeah. Typically.
Okay. Yeah, I think 7 and 5 is fine too.
In the EMS, we started that last year.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so just need
I
a
don't
motion to
hear
set those.
Any other questions? I'll accept the motion to set the activity prices as printed.
EMS include the firefighters or just the ambulance?
Yeah, no, it's all of them.
So move.
Moved by Schoenfelder, second by Turner. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Move to item C, set school lunch prices.
Referencing back to that for prior conversation, I noted that, so currently right now, our prices for 24-25 are recommend that they stay the same because you still have fund balance in there, which we're teetering as to whether that's, not that it's not illegal, but I mean, it causes some angst within our reporting and our USDA reports that we have to submit. Milk's 40 cents, pre-K through 12th grade students, let's see, adults, sorry. Adults were $2.60, that's for breakfast. Pre-K through 12 was free. We started that second semester. Remember that? We had a fund balance, so we decided, okay, let's give away free breakfast. We used to do the Wednesday thing, and then we got it to every day. We average probably 55, 60 kids per day that we feed, depending on what's for breakfast.
And I'll go back to my statement from last year. I think we would get more kids to have breakfast if we did the breakfast sandwiches every day. Or a breakfast sandwich and a muffin or whatever. I don't know, my kids think, the only time my kids would ever even make an attempt to come to eat it would be the breakfast
They didn't eat the
sandwiches.
cereal, they didn't eat the
No, same here.
donuts.
100% same here.
I mean, I can have that conversation with Lisa.
So,
I don't know
if that's gonna help move the balance down,
I think that would. In my household it would.
Yeah.
I know that.
I don't know what she has to abide by in the menu aspect of things from USDA's
Yeah.
perspective, but it certainly has to.
Even if they could up it, because what do they do breakfast sandwiches now, once a week? I think
Yeah,
it's
just
like
Wednesdays.
Yeah, even if they could turn that to maybe Monday, Wednesday, Friday,
I don't know. I'll ask.
I think that'd still chew up the balance a little bit more.
Yeah. Okay. And then you got lunch, milk is 40 cents, preschool through 5 is $2.85, 6 through 12 is $3.05, an additional entree is $1.25, and adults are $5. That's our school lunch program. So we're recommending those prices stay the same at this stage of the game, so. Knowing that you have the fund balance that you do, but I'll ask about that. So we need a motion to set those prices as they're, I got them here, so.
Okay, I'll accept a motion to set the school lunch prices as printed.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Prohl and second by Schoenfelder to approve the school lunch prices. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Moving on to item D, set preschool fees.
I referenced that we lost $5,400 in revenue from Head Start, so it used to be August was $50, September through April was $1.60, and then May was another 50, so suggesting that 75 on the August and the May, and then 170 through September through April. And when I did the math on that, it got us right to that $5,000 number, based on, I think, 26 pre-K kids that we're anticipating. So essentially, hold on, listen to something.
Sounds good to me.
And we haven't raised those anything since I've been here. And they still are equivalent to what daycare is running in town.
Okay. I'll accept a motion to set the preschool fees as printed.
So
Second.
Moved by Turner, second by Roth to approve the preschool fees. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item E, set driver's education fee.
Yeah, we kind of discussed that earlier from 250 to
Yeah.
260, but increasing the instructor's pay from the 160 to 170 too.
Okay.
And that is in line. In fact, that's still cheap, sorry.
Okay. All right, I'll accept a motion to set the driver's education fee.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Paul, second by Schoenfelder to set the driver's education fee. Is there any other further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item F, approve our home tuition rates.
We really don't have much control over those because they're, I guess, presented to us from the Department of Social Services. Those levels in which you see they're not indicative of or representative of the special education levels. So when we have students show up, that's what the levels that are being charged. And essentially, if it's for half, you just basically cut it in half. Like I said, at the very bottom, it says all per day rates. So it's just something that we traditionally do. The DSS gives them to us, so it's kind of a no-brainer. You just accept them. So, and that's what we'll charge of other schools.
Okay, I'll accept the motion to approve the Our Home tuition rates.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Schoenfelder, second by Turner. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item G, South Dakota High School Activity Association Board of Directors candidate ballot.
So I believe those were in there. We voted for this out in May at some point in time, but there was not, I think you have to have like 60% of the overall vote. So these are the two that rose to the top. So you got Brittany Idy. I think it was there. I maybe put this in the wrong one in there. Or no, Brittany Idy, secondary principal, and then Ryan Rollinger. So that's the position what you're voting for. And Brittany's just the neighbor over here, and then Ryan is currently serving on the board of directors right now in a different capacity as a principal, but he was a fill-in role. So he gets to have the opportunity to extend that. And these are all, I think, 4-year terms is what they do. So I don't remember who you voted for in May.
I think we voted for, well, I'd vote for Idy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I voted too.
yeah. We could, I think it's just a little thing.
Yep.
If that's what you, I just need a motion for somebody to do that.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Kroll, second by Roth to cast a ballot for, what's her name?
Brittany.
Brittany?
Brittany
Idy. For the South Dakota High School Activities Association Board of Directors. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
That should be it.
All right, that is all for the agenda. I'll accept a motion to adjourn. Excuse me. Accept a
Gotta go
motion to,
Exec first.
we will take a short break and then move into executive session. All right.
So moved.
We don't need a motion yet.
Oh, I thought you did. No, sorry.
I got it.